George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. We've got a superstar here. Jordan Pierre, graduate of Syracuse University, had a viral moment about, how many years ago was that?
That's a year ago.
We've been trying to get him for about that year. But let's start with that. You were talking about the impact of African Americans and how they're not really supported with their academic journey. Say more about that.
So what I spoke about was that what's rigorous about the institution that we attend, definitely a predominantly white institution, is not necessarily the curriculum in itself, but it's being Black in the context of America while trying to maintain academic excellence. So I think for a lot of people, they fail to understand that as Black people in general, definitely as young Black men, that we have much more to deal with outside of just showing up for the exams. You know, it's understanding that some of us come from low economic backgrounds. You know, we have some friends that's dying to the street. So it's various things that's on our minds outside of just academic pursuits that we got to learn. And we've seen there's a decline in enrollment of young Black men.
Well, how did that feel for you to be, for that moment, your little clip to blow up like that?
Oh, no, it showed me the power of media, right? I thought it was imperative. Whenever I talk, I intend for my message to be heard by the masses. Because how I see myself in the same light as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan. That's how I see myself. So whenever I speak in a manner to which I feel like my message is meant to be heard by the masses. But it felt good to be seen. I think a lot of young Black men don't feel seen, right? And they often say that a child does not feel reaffirmed by his village will burn it down to feel his warmth. But I started to feel seen. I started to see that there was a village that needed to hear my voice and understand my story. So,
yeah, what is your story?
Yeah, so my story, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in a single parent house to the age of 5 when my stepfather came into my life. At that time, he played a pivotal role, or some things that a young man can only learn from his father, right? Which was discipline, structure, understanding the importance of prior preparation, daring to be different. So various things he taught me that played an intricate role in a young man I have become, but most importantly, understanding your history. I think we know that there's a new administration office that's making certain efforts to remove our history because people that don't understand their roots. You say a tree without its roots can't grow, you know what I mean? So in many ways, it's important for us to understand our history so we understand our image of who we once was prior to today. And then we have social media, and I talked to you about this earlier about we see a generation becoming what it is that they watch, right? So what we have to do is change what it is that they see, but that's for me and you being that representative.
Yeah, when you say they become what they watch, what do you mean by that?
What do I mean? So what you watch impacts how you think impacts how you behave, and how you behave plays a role in the configuration of your identity. So when I say you become what it is that you watch, you got to be mindful of what it is that you consume, because it's programming you subconsciously to believe something, right? And the images that we're seeing now just showing us as Black men specifically as entertainers and athletes. But we have much more of a contribution to this world outside of just that.
Yeah,
right?
and you mentioned that as a youth engagement specialist, graduate of Newhouse.
Graduate of Newhouse, yep. Syracuse University, got my bachelor's in broadcast digital journalism and my master's degree in television, radio, and film.
All right, and so what are you up to now?
Right now, so I travel to various institutions. I talk about the power of media, not only in its ability to effectively tell stories, but also to shape identity. So that's when I start speaking to you become what it is that you watch. In psychology, they have a term called the self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that people become what it is that you label them or what you expect of them. And I believe the same thing applies to media, that if I show you repeated images of who I want you to be, that's what you become.
So why did you come to the conference today? What did you hope to get out of it?
So when I came in here, most about relationships, but also economics is very important. I think that's a missing conversation and it's absent in many households when it comes to understanding economic empowerment. How do we build and sustain? Because no matter how much we do in media, we do need to have economic power. And today, now more than ever, it's important for us to understand how finances work, because it's always been important, but especially now. Many of us need to know how to structure our finances, how to be more intentional, how we spend money, but most importantly, ownership. So I came in to learn about home ownership and then to see people that's in the spaces that's doing it.
I appreciate that. All right, so you really are about empowering young people, especially Black men. Give us a little love right here. Tell us something that we need to know, need to do, help us to feel a little something.
I mean, one thing I always would say to all my young Black men is to understand that you have the power to be a reference. What do I mean by that? That there's some people that won't become the best version of themselves until you become the best version of you. So whatever that is that you want to step into, it took me taking a step to becoming a scholar, to graduating college, to become the first in the family to do so. So now that they know that it's possible, but that's through me knowing that I have the ability to be a reference. So whenever you look at history, I want you to know that you too can become a person that one day we will study and read about. But you got to step into your purpose and your calling, but know that you are somebody, that you have a village that's supporting you, and to know that you have the ability to be a reference.
I love that you said to be a scholar, because a lot of young people don't believe that, or that seems so far away. What did you have to do to create the space where you could believe that you could do that?
Yeah, it first started with my household. That's something I'm starting to come to understand more, is that my parents played an intricate role and reaffirming the fact that it's okay to dare to be different.
Okay.
So when I did want to start studying, becoming a scholar, I knew that it was okay for me to be different, even though I wasn't seeing it necessarily. Then I had to study and find my references. I had to look at who was Louis Farrakhan, who's Kwame Ture, who's Elaine Locke, who's Carter G. Woodson. Then I had to read upon them, because if I'm not seeing my references in my immediate environment, I know that they exist, because Black people have contributed in many ways to society.
Right.
So even though I may not be seeing that, it just means I have to find the exposure to it. And that was through reading. That's through taking African American studies courses when I went to college.
That they're trying to eliminate.
They're trying to eliminate now Black studies in various institutions. So I had to find it, because it exists, but you got to find it.
You had that in your household. Some people don't
So
have
now what
that.
happens is we got to build a village outside of it. That's why I use my platform as I do, because many young men also feel like being a scholar is not cool. But you could meet me. I do whatever it is that you need to be done, however it is that you need to get it done. So I'm gonna show you that it's also important for you to know that it's cool to be intelligent. It's cool to be a scholar. A lot of us try to dim our light in those many aspects and think that we just gonna be athletes, but you can be an intellectual athlete as well.
You can.
Right.
I mean, it's
and we've seen that now with Jaylen Brown and various other people.
Jaylen Brown, who, for people that don't know, Boston Celtics, when he got one of the biggest contracts, if not the biggest contract in NBA history, was real clear about what he wanted to do in the city of Boston around Black empowerment. Right. Particularly, he wasn't mincing words.
Right, no, he exactly stated what his score was, what his statement was, what his intention is. And that's important for us to do.
And it's important for people to look up to you as well. All right, last thing you want to say to folks.
Okay, yeah, so I just want y'all to follow me on Instagram. So it's Jordan, Jordan, Pierre, Pierree. So that's where you see more of the village that I'm building. I do travel to various institutions, so I am open to being booked to speak amongst your young men or young women, whoever it is that you need to be empowered. And that's where you'll find me. So you see more of my bio, my website, all the above, but I'm building the village for us to understand our purpose.
And you're based where?
I'm based in New York City, Brooklyn, New York specifically. So
yeah, I just wanted him to give a shout out to his
Brooklyn for sure.
Brooklyn's in the house, uptown baby, boogie down. But that's another story. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. We finally got Jordan Pierre on the program, Inspiration for the Nation.
It was all in alignment. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.